Hi, I'm Dr. Mindy Macan. I'm a professor of religious studies at Lenoir-Rhyne University, and I also direct our Living Well Center for Vocation and Purpose. One of the things that the Center for Vocation and Purpose does is provide a speaker series called Lives Worth Living. And in this series, we invite a variety of folks from all sorts of different disciplines. So theologians and activists and artists, thinkers of all sorts, to talk to us about what they think makes for a life worth living. And I'm really excited to have Marlon Hall with us today. He's spoken before for us and was a fan favorite at LR when we were able to do it live. And so we asked him to come back and join us for our YouTube video this time. Marlon is an anthropologist, a storyteller, a yoga instructor, but perhaps even more importantly, he is just a very kind and funny and creative human being and child of God. And so, Marlon, it is a great honor to have you with us again today.
Thank you for those kind words, Mindy. They are encouraging. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being with us. I thought I would ask first, I know you're working on what sounds to me to be a very interesting project. So I thought that I'd ask if you would tell us a little bit about that first.
Yeah, 99 years ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was the most dynamic and dramatic national terroristic act in the history of America when a group of racists attacked a group of African American folks in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and ultimately it happened June 1st, 1921, and ultimately it made it so that an entire community made up of successful and progressive African Americans burned to ashes. Over 2,000 people were murdered, and this community called Greenwood, also known as Black Wall Street, was really a model community for how African Americans, descendants of slaves, could rise up from the pain of slavery and turn it into an opportunity to purposefully live. And so that model was burned to ashes. So as an anthropologist, in partnership with the Greenwood Art Project, that's a Bloomberg funded project, in partnership with the Tulsa Arts Fellowship, where I'm a fellow, anthropological fellow, and also in partnership with my Fulbright specialist work. I'm here as an anthropologist basically to unearth the passion from the pain of Black Wall Street. Literally listen for the ancestral witnesses to lead us to believe that there's possibility for African Americans despite racism in our nation and our world. And so I've been researching by asking questions, and interviewing, and taking pictures of folks to allow them to tell the story of the massacre, but more importantly, to reveal the meaning of the community that is still present, that we have to unearth.
Wow, so that sounds fascinating. I love the language of unearthing passion from pain.
Yeah. Which for me is one of life's gifts. One of the things that allows life to be worth living for. That we don't see pain as an end, we see pain as a means to the end. More purposeful living, more active living, so that when we face those moments of pain, which we all do, which we all should, if we're moving meaningfully towards something good, because without friction, there's no movement. And so if we face the friction of pain, we can know that it is not an end, but a means to the end of the progress and purpose.
There you
Mindy?
go. Yeah.
Can you see me?
I do, yes. Sorry, we lost you for just a second, but you're back.
Oh, good. Awesome sauce. Oh, there you are. Yeah, so that's it. That's what makes life worth living to me. Is as an anthropologist, of course, it's my academic training,
right,
to turn of pain and impossibility into a way to learn around them and about them. And I fit in our everyday lives. So that no matter what challenge we face, we see it not as a roadblock, but as a doorway.
So as you've been working in Tulsa, do you have any stories that you could share about how you've seen pain turned to passion or passion unearthed from pain?
Yeah, I can talk about the Greenwood Art Project as a whole and a couple of the folks who are artists
Okay.
in this project specifically. As a whole, this project wants to take the massacre and turn the broken pieces of this historic event, the shards of disintegrating racism into a mosaic through which the light of God can shine. And so basically in the broken shards of pain as a way to kind of create art from what was atrocious. And so that's the general project. And specifically, there is a 90-year-old woman who has experienced the brunt and the pain of this massacre like nobody else. Yet she's more mobile and dynamic than anybody, Mindy, I've ever seen in my life. And she has been organizing groups of people, not around the pain of the massacre, but around the legacy that's rising from the ashes as a thespian. And so she has taken it upon herself to create these works of art on stage where people tell the story, not just of the massacre and the pain, but of the legacy of Black Wall Street that's still lingering and hovering over the surface of the deep of this city and the way that God hovered over the surface of the deep in Genesis. And so even though she's 90 years old, her project is a genesis of its own, where she is taking to the stage an assembly of actors to retell the story of the heritage of Black Wall Street. So she is a beautiful example. Her name is Maybelle Wallace, a beautiful example of how pain ain't an end, but a means to the end possibility, even at the tender and ripe age of 90.
Miss Wallace sounds like somebody that I might want to be like when I grow up. She sounds pretty awesome.
She like right now, she's so vibrant.
Yeah, that's cool. What kind of advice would you offer for a young adult right now? I mean, here we are in the midst of COVID, which is one of the most difficult times I think we've gone through in many ways and in my lifetime, kind of collectively. So much uncertainty for everybody, kind of across the board. So there's lots of pain. I think there's pain for everybody right now in a different way than maybe there have been at times. Do you have any advice that you would offer for young adults who are kind of just now coming of age in the midst of this?
Yeah, I believe that and for me, a couple of things are happening in the world. Number one, certainly we're experiencing this interpersonal solitude that comes as a result of the quarantine in COVID. We're also kind of coming to a reckoning of some of the viral dis-ease that is racism in our nation as well. So the two together.
Right. We have two pandemics at once right now.
Yeah, all at once. And so I would invite people to face their brokenness, the way that we're having to do as a nation, and the way that we're having to do even in our personal homes. Because we've been able to avoid certain by being busy, by all of that we've been doing. But this is a moment for us to be. Yeah. And so I would young people to seize this opportunity in the midst of us kind of facing our brokenness as a nation, social system, and even in our internal home, to face that brokenness with the idea that you are not broken, but that you are broken open to something new. Past, we thought that our family situations were just simply broken. Now we're having to live with grandmas and aunts, uncles, and cousins, be with our children as we work in ways that are avoidable. So don't see what's broken in your family or in our country that we're now seeing through this heightened level of consciousness that comes with being secluded, of being interpersonally bound through quarantine. Don't see it as broken. See it as something that's broken open. You are broken open to something new. So as you internally explore those uncomfortable places in your life, we explore those uncomfortable places in our nation. We are not broken as a nation, and we are not broken as people or as individuals. We are broken open to something new. So that would be my advice, is to never see brokenness as an end, but as a means to the end of broken openness. To love, broken openness. Peace, broken openness to hope. Even in those situations where you feel unloved, feel dis-ease, right? And where you feel like life ain't going the way you want it to go. You're not broken, you are broken open to something new.
Lord, I hope you're right, especially when I think of racism and the way that that has broken open out in a much more public way. I don't think it's any more real today than it's always been, but it
Right.
seems more evident and real in the sense of being reality in front of everybody's faces in a way that for predominantly white communities it hasn't always been. I hope that it's a broken openness and not a brokenness that then gets closed right back up so that nothing changes.
I think it is. You know, I think this is a Genesis. And I know it looks like it's a revelation. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah, right.
The Bible says that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was formless, empty, it was dark.
Yeah.
So those conditions look like an end. Emptiness, formlessness, and darkness. But if we look at it biblically through the lens of Genesis, those are not the elements of an end, but the elements of a new beginning. It's messy, but it's meaningful.
I like that. Thank you. And also, though, when I think about Revelation, I mean, I think we have a kind of common public perception of Revelation as a apocalyptic end of time rather than something, you know what I mean? Something that's disastrous and Jesus is coming back and boy, is he not happy. And that kind of imagery is in our popular kind of pop theology for Revelation. But Revelation is also the promise of a new heaven and a new earth. And so that genesis of a new heaven and a new earth, especially the new earth, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe there's hope in that. There is a genesis of something being born new as we're being broken open collectively.
That's so good. Maybe it's both.
Maybe it is.
Of a moment in human history, you know?
Mm-hmm. And so how do we help participate in it?
I think we do it on a microcosmic scale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are talking about macrocosmic change, like taking to the streets, and we should think macrocosmically. I think it begins with being more intentional with our personal relationships with people who are different than who we are when it comes to the racial disintegration of our nation or the racial mess that could be meaning. I think it begins with our personal relationships. Calling on your Black and brown brothers to check on them, see how they're doing in the midst of this, because it's very traumatic time for Black and brown people. So, you know, going through your Rolodex with friends who are Black and brown and texting them and giving them a call. You know, that's on a microcosmic scale. On a macrocosmic scale, I think it requires prayer and fasting. You know, the Bible says there are certain kinds of demons that just won't come out without prayer and fasting. And I think that we are in an adolescent phase of our development as human beings. Though we think we're old, we're not. We're just getting started, you know, and it's awkward. So on a macrocosmic scale, I think in the same way that Jesus cast out the demon of the boy, and he did so through prayer and fasting, I think we got to do that too. On a macrocosmic scale, we got to be more committed to praying for the globe and evolution from discrimination into its new destiny.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me today. I keep these conversations sort of short so that people can view them in just one sitting, but thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and doing such important work.
Thank you so much. And Mindy, I appreciate you where you are doing such important work. I mean, I will never forget. I travel often and have the blessing of sharing with a lot of people, but I'll get my time with you guys. Know my time with you on campus. I loved hanging out with you.
We enjoyed it too. Thank you very much. You'll have to come back.
Yes, please. Yes, please. All right. I love y'all. Thank you so much. And I want to invite each of you who are watching and listening to know that life will have challenges, but turn those challenges not into an end, but a means to the end, create something new.
Thank you.
Thank you.